I think they like me. In my white tee. Oh no, baby, smoke so much, don't need some vice.
Hey guys, welcome to a new video. In today's video we're going to look at a Leetcode problem, and the problem's name is sort array by increasing frequency. So in this question we're given an array which contains integers, and we need to sort the output array based on the increasing order of the frequency of the elements. Since 3 appears only once, that should be the first element. The second most repeated element in the array is 1, so the 2 ones appear next, so those 3 2's appear in the end. In this case, 1 appears once, so that should be the first element, 2 appears twice, and also 3 appears twice. So according to the question, if multiple values have the same frequency, sort them in decreasing order. So 3 should appear first, so 3 is appearing twice, and then 2 is appearing twice. Coming to the function, we're given a function frequency sort, and then an integer array nums as a parameter, and the return type is an integer array, so we need to return an integer array. So our approach to this problem is going to be that we're going to store the frequency of elements inside a map which will contain integers as the key and also integers as the value. The keys are going to be the elements of the array, and the values are going to be the frequency of that element in the array. Then we're going to create a list. So the list will contain the keys in the map. Then we're going to sort that list according to the conditions given. While sorting the list, I'm going to write a comparator method where I'm going to compare two objects of the array, because in the list of integers, the integers are stored in the form of objects. So I'm going to compare the two objects according to the condition. I'll show you during coding how I'm going to write the code for the comparator. And then finally, when we have the list according to the sorted order, we need to convert that list into an array. After converting that list to an array, we'll finally return that array as the output. Coming to the first step, I'm going to create the map. Let's add the elements into the map. For that, I'm going to iterate through the input string nums from left to right. Now to add elements into the map, first we're going to check if that array element is present inside the map. Map.contains key nums of I. So if that element is present as key inside the map, we're going to increment the frequency of that key. So map.put key, we are going to put the array element. The value is going to be the frequency of that array element plus 1. So map.getOf nums of I plus 1. And in the else block, which means that that key is not present inside the map, so we're going to add that element into the map and add its frequency as 1. So this line in the else block will be executed for each unique element, and from the next time whenever you find that element inside the map, you're going to increment its frequency by 1. So this is a standard way of adding elements into the map, storing the frequency of that element as its value. Now the second step is to make a list and store the keys inside the map inside the list. So list, the keys are integers, right? So the list also will have integers. To add the keys inside the map into the list, I'm going to use the keyset method on the map. Now let's sort this list. For sorting, I'm going to use collections.sort. In the collection here is list, right? So this is how you generally sort a list, but we have to specify two conditions here, that if multiple values have the same frequency, sort them in descending order. Now as I've already mentioned, the integers here inside the list are stored as objects. So I'm going to create two objects which are integers, a, b. Then I'm going to create my own way of sorting those two objects. For that I'm going to define them. Now inside this comparator I'm going to specify the conditions. If multiple values have the same frequency, so if a and b repeat twice for example, then b should appear first. That I'm going to write it inside a code. So if map.getOf a, the frequency of a is equal to map.getOf b, the frequency of b. So if both a and b are having the same frequency, sort them in decreasing order. So b should appear first and then a. So that is what I'm going to return. Return b and then a. So b should appear first and then a. Under the else block, which means that the frequency of a is not equal to b. So if the frequency of a is not equal to b, I'm going to return the frequency of a and then the frequency of b. So return map.getOf a, then map.getOf b. So this is how you can use a comparator to define your own way of sorting the list. Now that we have the list sorted according to us, we need to return an integer array, right? So let's convert the list into an array. So I'm going to name the array as result. So the size of the result array, you can use the nums array's length. So nums.length. Now let's iterate through the list using a for each loop. For int num list. Note that the list has keys inside it. If our task was to only return the keys, we could directly return num here, but we need to return with its frequency, like how many times it has been repeating. For that, I'm going to use a for loop to find out how many times that particular key is repeating. So for int I equal to 0, I is less than map.get of num. I'll explain the logic here. So map.get of num is here, whatever is inside the list. Map.get of that num will give us the frequency of that num. So that many times you can print that num. So inside the result, I'm going to store num. Now I can't use result of I to store num, right? Because we are using I to get the number of times this num has been repeating. We need to store the first number inside the 0th index inside the num. So for that, let us use another variable outside. I'll name it index. Initialize it to 0. Result of index. So result of 0 is equal to num. And for the next iteration, index should also increment. So index plus plus. So result of index plus plus is equal to num. So this for each loop will happen for all the elements present inside the list, and then we're going to get the resultant array. Finally, you can print out the resultant array result as the output. Let's run the code. There you have it. We're getting the expected output. Let's submit the code. Yes, our solution has been accepted. So let's take this example and see the output is formed. So we are given this array 1 1 2 2 3. We have to convert it into array 3 1 1 2 2 2 2 because it is sorted on the frequency of each element. So to first start off with, we are going to build the map. The key is going to be the array element. So to form the map, we are going to iterate through the nums array from left to right. It will take the first element and it will calculate its value. For the corresponding unique elements, one value will be inserted, and next time they appear, the values will be incremented, and finally at the end of the loop, we get this map. Now we have the values as the frequency of each array element. From this map, let us calculate the list, which will be a list of keys inside the map. So the keys here 1 2 3 will be present inside the list, and now we are going to sort the list according to this comparator. If two array elements have the same frequency, it will first return the greater element and then return the smaller element. But in this case, no two elements have the same frequency, so this will be ignored, and the normal sorting will happen. So the sorting will happen based on the frequency of the lower element first, and then the frequency of the greater element. Now we have the sorted list 3 1 2, but that can't be returned as the output. We have to get the frequency of these elements and then print it those many number of times. So first we are going to iterate through the sorted list. It will take the first element here. So the first element in this array is 3. So it will get the frequency of 3. So the frequency of 3 is 1. 3 will be printed once in the output. It will go on to the next element. It will get the frequency of 1. Frequency of 1 is equal to 2. So 1 will be printed 2 times. The next element is 2. It will get the frequency of 2. Frequency of 2 is 3 inside the map. So 2 will be printed 3 times as the output. So here, as you can see, this is the output. That's it guys, that's the end of the program. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Oh, I think they like me. Yup, in my white tee. Oh, no, baby. Smoke so much, don't need some vice.